What's up, guys? It's your man DX, and welcome back to the Elite DX channel. Today, I'm going to be going over a video posted on a YouTube channel called Truly. It's a video titled, "My Millionaire Boyfriend is 27 years older than me." And yeah, you have the typical situation here, and we all know what's up with this. It's a young lady in her 20s who decides that she's just completely in love with a older man in his 50s who happens to be, guess what? A millionaire. Hey, it could happen. Come on, guys, don't be so cynical. I mean, it could happen. I still believe. But before we get into it, let me remind you that if you are not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel, okay? And then smash that like button if you dig this type of content right here. This is hot fire. And then last of all, share this joint across social media, guys. We need to get this message out there. Now, let's pop this open and see what we got. Let's get back to this video right here by the YouTube channel Truly, titled, "My Millionaire Boyfriend is 27 years older than me."
This is 28-year-old social media influencer, Sophia. She fell in love with 55-year-old entrepreneur, Robert.
We are over 25 years apart. You don't expect as a little girl, like you don't imagine yourself falling in love with someone the age of your dad.
I'm 5 years younger than your dad, for the record.
When the couple announced their relationship online, many people challenged Sophia's intentions of dating an older millionaire.
I think people will always assume that I'm a gold digger.
No, really, Sophia? No, we wouldn't think that about you. No. So, of course, in the first 30 seconds here, it looks like they're going down the same old tired road of, yeah, this is true love. And, you know, she might be a lot younger than him, but they have a lot in common. And she really and truly loves him. And this is, you know, it's a great relationship. And it's the greatest love of all time. And it's destined for eternity. And yeah, having looked at this whole video already, I can tell you that's exactly what they're doing, and that's exactly where they end up. And so it would be very, very easy to sit here and just drag the both of them and point out the obvious that we know what this is about. But I like to do things a little bit differently here on this channel, as you guys kind of know. So I'm going to focus on the why and the how of this presentation of the two of these people by the YouTube channel Truly. And honestly, it's more of a propaganda and promotion video than it is a presentation. And I'm just wondering, well, what are the motivations behind them presenting this in this way? You see, there are people and groups out here who like to shape society. It's called social engineering, and they like to change people's pattern of thinking and what things you think are good and the other things that you think are bad, sort of rearrange those. And so I think there's a lot to be learned about the motives, tactics, agenda, and end goals of media that's presented in this way. And so now let's go back to this video and watch some more and see how this all goes down.
And even those closest to them questioned the authenticity of their relationship.
When Sophia told me about Robert, well, I just wanted to make sure he wasn't like a creeper.
You have to be sure today. You don't never know what you're dealing with when it comes to people.
Hey, babe, what are you doing?
Everything. What do I not do for a living? I'm a social media influencer, professional TikToker, life coach. Did I say podcaster? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Enlighten the Podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Splino.
I'm most known throughout the world as the creator of Silly Bands, just a little worldwide phenomenon that happened a few years back. We've been dating on and off for almost 2 years.
We are over 25 years apart.
When Sophia and Robert first matched, Neither of them expected to hit it off.
So it goes back to a Saturday afternoon in LA. I was going to meet a woman that night that I met off of Tinder. And as I was waiting for her to respond in Tinder, the app, I was scrolling through and found Sophia's profile.
Now, pause. Why was I on Tinder? Because I was an influencer with less than 10,000 followers on Instagram. So a micro influencer. And I was trying to grow in followers. If you want to talk to me, follow me on Instagram. So it was a marketing ploy.
So I followed her, and then she messaged me and she said,
"Are you really responsible for the silly bands epidemic?"
And I said yes. We started talking, and that's how it all began.
Confident Sophia made her intentions to Robert very clear from the start.
Our first date, he picked me up at the airport. You were so nervous. You took me to one of your favorite restaurants.
She ordered the most expensive stuff on the menu in case it didn't work out.
That's right,
so she
ladies.
could get a really good meal out of it. So
That's right.
Red flag number one. Was I ever concerned about Sophia's intentions? In the beginning, yes, because she made it very clear and verbal of her financial expectations and lifestyle expectations. So it was hard emotionally to think through that, but it was also refreshing because I knew what I was getting myself into.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys remember, or if you're not old enough, have you ever heard of Jim Jones and the Guyana tragedy? Well, just briefly, Jim Jones was a cult leader. And back in the 1970s, he had a lot of people that followed him, and they thought he was basically Jesus Christ walking around here on earth. And so he was getting a little bit too much heat in California, in the area that he was in, and he was threatened with charges and all this stuff by the government. So he decided that he would move his cult down to a country called Guyana in South America. Now, Jim Jones was an extreme narcissist, and he considered himself a master manipulator. You see, he wanted to control the media narrative around his so-called church. He wanted to present an image to the public that was better than what they were hearing in the news when it comes to all of these things he was being accused of. And so what he would do, you see, he had a very loyal following of some of these people who were with him. Some of the people were doubtful, but they were still going along. So he would take the people who were very loyal to him, and he would make them the enforcers, and he would talk to the whole group of people that were down there with him, and he would say, when the media comes here, this is what you do, and this is what you say. You don't say or do anything else. He just controlled their actions, and the enforcers would make sure everybody went along with that. He actually had armed people who were the enforcers, who made sure nobody spoke out of turn, nobody did anything out of line while the media was there. And, well, if you don't know the rest of how that story ends, just go ahead and look it up online and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. But basically, my point is that this is what this kind of reminds me of. And I suspect that the person who's orchestrating all of this is this young woman in this presentation. That's right, Sophia. She has the most to gain by manipulating the perception here. She wants to be perceived as virtuous and someone who would never use this man for his money. And she cares very much what other people think, especially the masses of people out there, as you'll see later on in this video. But the huge and glaring difference between what Sophia here is trying to do and what Jim Jones, the cult leader, was trying to do is this. Jim Jones had to control and manipulate a few hundred people and a media crew that was coming in to try and get evidence on him. She only has to control one weak simp beta male that she already has brainwashed and pee-whipped, and a few people in a media crew who already seem to be sympathetic and friendly to her cause anyway, for whatever reasons. And we'll get into that a little later. Now, the producers and directors of this presentation video, you notice how they have the mood all set right. First of all, they have this upbeat and energetic, but yet romantic type of music going in the background. They also have staged this with a bunch of scenes that seem very loving between the two of them, and it's very relaxed, and they're laughing and joking together and hanging out together. Just the whole image and mood that attracts women for one, but all romantic people. So they're really doing a nice sell job here as far as the direction and the production. And if you didn't notice any of that, just rewind my video and check it out again. You'll see what I'm talking about. And the other thing that really sticks out like a sore thumb is that they are completely letting the two subjects in this video control the whole narrative. Especially Sophia here. They're letting her control everything that gets seen and everything that gets said. There are no hard questions or anything like that. They don't even have people in this video who still strongly object to this relationship. Like, where is his family? Where are his children, if he has any? Where are his sisters and brothers, if he has any? They show her family and how they were initially against it, but now they love it. And we can surmise that the reason that her parents are so on board with this now is that now they don't have to worry about her calling them for money. Because she actually seems like the type that was raised with everything she wanted. The parents spoiled her and treated her like basically a little prima donna. So you can imagine that when she's in her early 20s, she's probably out there riding the carousel and spending all kinds of money and having financial trouble and not having enough money to pay for all the things she wants. And so she was probably just continuously calling them for money. So they're just happy that she doesn't have to call them for money anymore because she found herself a millionaire. I mean, that's just completely obvious, but it's never going to be said in this video because the narrative is being controlled by these two. At that point, they allow Sophia to tell them just what she was doing for a profession before she met this extremely rich man. And what comes out of her mouth is just amazing. I was a professional TikToker, I was a life coach and a podcaster, but the one that really gets me is I was a social media influencer. I don't even know what that means. Do any of you? Ladies, all the women that are listening to me right now, if a guy named Tommy comes up to you and says, "Hey, how you doing? My name is Tommy," and you ask him what he does for a living, and he says, "I'm a social media influencer," well, you just tell him this.
But the chart says here you ain't got no job, man.
And then they very gingerly and gently bring in the fact that she met him on Tinder. Now, we all know Tinder is just a cesspool and it's a bunch of crap, but look at how they clean up that image of Tinder real quick, but just in this case. Now, first, as soon as they mention she met him on Tinder, they start showing her in front of a luxury car, start showing her in very nice outfits with a Gucci belt on and all this stuff. Now, are we supposed to think that these are the pictures that she had up on Tinder? I think that's what they want us to think. But they're not. I can guarantee that. These are the pictures she took after meeting him and gaining access to his money. But you see how it's just another little subtle manipulation to try and prove that she's not a gold digger. Now then they allow her to go into her reasons for being on Tinder, as if we don't know. Like, there are only a couple of reasons that women are on Tinder, and we know what those reasons are. But they allow her to control this narrative too, because according to her, the reason she was on Tinder was to grow her Instagram followers. Now that may be true, because she was trying to get something off of the ground. But it's obvious that she was also on Tinder to try and troll for a man who has some resources. Again, obvious, but not going to be said in this video. But probably the truest and most telling part of this whole video presentation is what they went into in the last part of that section, which is what actually happened when they actually met up and got together. It's pretty damn interesting how they contort and manipulate this whole meeting to seem like something that's way more innocent and way more positive than what it is. Well, obviously, she must have lived sort of like a distance away from him, because they say that he picked her up at the airport and then they went to dinner at a restaurant and she ordered the most expensive meal on the menu. And she admits that that was because at least she would get a really good meal out of the deal if she decided not to carry on with Robert. And we all know that that wasn't going to happen. I mean, the dude's a millionaire. And she's a spoiled, entitled chick who's looking for a guy with money. So yeah, but notice how they started off the description of this meeting and how it went down by saying that confident Sophia made her financial intentions clear from the start. They describe her as confident. Now, be honest, if a guy was on a date with a woman and he just makes his intentions known up front and says, you know what, I want to go to bed with you, I want to sleep with you, and I want it this many times a week, and I want to film you just busting it out on camera real good with me, and I am just entitled to that because that's just what I want. Do you think they would be calling him confident? I think they would be saying things like, oh, he's a pig. Girl, I hope you threw water in his face. I hope you told him where to go and to kiss your butt and that you ain't going for that. So the double standard is crazy. But beyond that, wouldn't you have loved to be there to just hear this conversation? I would have loved to hear this conversation. I mean, what did she say? Probably something like, I need a man who's going to do this and do that for me, and he better have a lot of money, and I want this and I want that, and I'm accustomed to having my way because I'm spoiled, and you know what? If you ain't got that, then we can't go on with this anymore. We just got to end this right here. But obviously, he went for it. So he's obviously a member of that club. You know, that it ain't tricking if you got it club. And so she went on home with him and she whipped that thing on him just to solidify the deal. The power of the P is amazing when it comes to these dudes like this little simp here. Little gold digging chicks like this know they have hit the jackpot when they find a weak beta male simp like this who has $1 million or more and is willing to go along with this nonsense, including being told up front that, yeah, I'm going to use you for your money to get where I want and have the lifestyle I want. They know they have hit the jackpot. And this dude even admits that he had his initial doubts about her intentions. So all that means is that this dude is in his mid-50s and he still doesn't listen to his initial instincts and intuition about people. Can you imagine how many times this dude probably has gotten ripped off in his life? But you know, so-called confident young women like this, aka gold diggers, they spend all of their lives in a desperate search for a man like this, who is extremely rich, but also is a complete fool. But it gets worse. As you will soon see, Sophia's propaganda video is not complete yet. In the remainder of this so-called presentation video, she takes humiliation of this dude to the next level. She puts this millionaire boyfriend named Robert, who she's supposed to love, on full display, making a complete fool out of himself. Check this out.
As a social media influencer, Sophia is used to sharing her life with her followers. But when she first got together with Robert, she decided to keep him a secret in fear of being judged.
I love using my social media platforms to take down the stigma that age gap relationships are icky or weird. In the beginning, I worried about sharing Robert with my followers because he is older and I'm doing a lot of really cool things, and I didn't want people to think that just because he was older that I had a sugar daddy making all this possible. I'm about to go to the gym, but first I thought I'd answer a couple hater comments. What is even your job? Do you even have a job? He just gives you money. Blah, 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 blah.
Along with receiving negative comments online, the couple have also had to prove their relationship to those closest to them.
I think the term gold digger is this stigma in society that's bad. I get a lot of crap for it on a daily basis where friends of mine think that she is a gold digger and they don't realize that she makes her own money and does really well.
My mom was like, Sophia, like, he's my age. Like, he's so much older. Don't you think that's a little too old?
I describe Sophia as a princess, being groomed to be the queen. She's always loved to be pampered, spoiled.
When Sophia told me about Robert, I just wanted to make sure he wasn't a catfish. I just wanted to make sure he also wasn't like a creeper.
You don't never know what you're dealing with when it comes to people. But we love Robert. We're so happy that you're happy with Robert.
My friends have been very receptive. My Instagram followers have been very receptive. And on TikTok, we kind of position ourselves as a sillier side. I pretend to be the gold digging hoe on TikTok. And it's partially what got us our TikTok fame.
Making them monies?
Need to make a lot of monies.
Why?
Because you a full-time job and it's hard to keep you happy.
So it's fun. There are haters, but the people in our life who matter, they all approve.
That's right.
They celebrate with us.
The ones that matter, matter. And the ones that don't, I don't care.
Robert and Sophia are wasting no time worrying about what others think and have an interesting way to tackle the hate comments they receive.
We take whatever hate we get and make content about it. Cheers to going make TikToks.
Cheers to a good evening.
I love it because in reality, we all have a shadow side. My dark side is the gold digger. TikTok is a way for me to comedically explore my shadow, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, y'all, you see, this woman is on a whole nother level with her disdain and her disrespect of this guy. See, women like this, they don't respect and love a man who does all these things for them. Secretly, they don't even like these men. They kind of hate them. It's psychological. It's a psychological thing. And she gets really deep here into the psychopathy. First of all, she really wants you to feel her pain, so she makes a statement that she didn't want to tell people and go public. She really didn't want to do that with the fact that she had a guy that was so much older than her because she didn't want people to think that she had a sugar daddy. Oh no, I'm so virtuous, I would never have a sugar daddy to pay for stuff for me. I mean, I really care what you guys think, and I just didn't want to tell you that because I didn't want to be judged. But then she turns around and changes her mind and puts all of her business out there because she's a so-called social media influencer. So she puts all of her business out there that she has a guy that's way older than her and this and that. And then she gets the natural result, which is pushback, hate, and just, what are you doing? And are you serious? And do you really have a job? What is this social media influencer? I mean, you can expect all this stuff.
Ain't got no job.
This is what cracks me up about people in these so-called social media influencer type things that they do, is that if you don't want to get the pushback and the negativity from people, why are you putting all of your business out there on social media and on the internet? Why are you doing that if you don't want the pushback? So you want all the good things that come from it, but you don't want the pushback and the negativity. Doesn't make sense. It's just ridiculous. She's a complete farce.
You ain't got no job, man!
And then the brainwashed cuck comes on and he's trying to co-sign what she's saying. Well, I don't want people to think that I'm her sugar daddy because, she makes her own money and she does really well. Really? Come on, get serious. Anybody who does creation of content for social media knows that it takes money to make money. You need money. That's why she was looking for a guy with money. And if you don't have money, you're stuck in the mud like she was. She was stuck in the mud before he came along. Because she even admits that, I was a low-level social media influencer at that time because I had less than 10,000 followers. Well, you need money to level up, like I said before. Why do you guys think people have to do things like have a Patreon and have a AdSense and get money? Because you need money to do this content. Okay? So she didn't have any money and she was stuck in the mud. He came along and he funded her. So you won't be seeing her with a Patreon page and struggling with the AdSense and what you can say and what you can't say. So him coming out with, oh, she makes her own money and she does really well, that's just to paint her in a better light and make you guys not think that she is what she is. She's a user who's using him to level up. And so back to my analogy, she would be Jim Jones and he's one of the loyal followers who will never say anything to put her in a bad light. And then, as I pointed out earlier in this analysis, they go back to her parents and her parents admit that, quote, she has always wanted to be pampered and spoiled. Actually, they did spoil her and pamper her, and she's used to that. And so now she expects it. The entitlement is real with this chick. But her psychopathic behavior goes way deeper than that. She goes past the point of being cruel by humiliating this dude on TikTok and other sites. And he's so stupid he can't see it. Remember that hate that she says she was getting from people, those hateful comments about her being a gold digger and not having a real job? Well, she says, quote, we take the hate we get and make content about it. She actually publicizes her misdeeds and bad behavior for the world to see by dragging this guy out on TikTok. And he looks like he completely doesn't understand what's going on. And they go on TikTok and they make these videos about her being, quote, the gold digging hoe. Well, without seeing her TikTok posts, I'm sure she's very good at it. Because it takes no acting skills to portray a part that you really are in real life. Now, shout out to my mans and them, Ice-T, Ice Cube, and LL Cool J. Now, these are all rappers turned actors. Why am I bringing them up? Well, because they all came from a hard background. Ice-T was a drug dealer. Ice Cube was raised in Compton and South Central LA, so he had a pretty hard life coming up. And LL Cool J, while being born in Long Island and raised in Queens, he probably didn't have as rough a family life as those former two guys, but he was in the New York rap scene and hung around places like the Bronx and all that, so he's seen some rough things in his life. My point being that all these guys were phenomenal rappers and made their money, but then they turned into actors. But you notice whenever you see them acting in a movie or a TV show or something, they're always playing the same character, a street savvy, either a criminal or a cop who was raised in a rough neighborhood and he's real hoodie or ghetto or just a roughneck. They're so good at doing that because they don't have to be top-notch skilled and trained actors when they experience those things in life. So it's just you playing the part that you already are, really, or have been. And that's what she's doing on TikTok. She's just being a character actor, just being what she does in real life. But the really cold part of the game here is that this chick, Sophia, has her millionaire boyfriend, who she's supposed to love, participating and helping her to act out what she's doing to him in real life. Meanwhile, he thinks it's fun, cool, and funny. And she benefits financially from it on top of that, by developing a social media presence that she can then monetize and rake in even more money from it. And the last thing to point out here is her quote right at the end. She says, her dark side is the gold digger. She is openly admitting to Robert, the beta male simp cuck, and the whole world that being a gold digger is just another part of her. This woman is a disgusting, psychopathic ingrate. And she's also a super narcissist. And just like Jim Jones, she feels that she is a master manipulator. But on to the last question. Why would a YouTube channel like Truly, which is one of the 50 top YouTube channels that exist, why would they let her produce and present this video in this manner on their platform? Well, I did a little research on this YouTube channel, Truly, and it turns out that they're a London-based so-called news agency that was established in 2004. They were founded as Barcroft Media and prided themselves on focusing on weird and unusual alternative media stories. Well, it's been a long time since 2004, and so that means they're part of legacy media. And I don't have to tell you that legacy media hasn't been doing too well in the last, 10 years or so because of the new revolution of free and independent media. So I can only speculate as to why they would allow this woman to put out this atrocity of a presentation video, and I assume that it is because they got a large cash donation from somebody. Probably one individual named Robert Croak, the millionaire boyfriend who's featured in this mess. Well, I guess that's about it for this video. And thank you for sitting through this long video. But I had to do a deep dive on this because there's so much here to talk about and learn from. Now, like I always say, if you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to this channel. And right after that, to show that you love the type of content that I'm putting down, smash that like button. And of course, pull up in that comment section and let me know what's up. What do y'all think about the way they produce this slickly to make it look like this chick is a faithful, good, virtuous woman who loves her man? Do you think this is true love, or is it just a crush? A money crush for that paper, that is. And last but not least, let's get this joint popping on social media, dog. Put this out there on any platform you want to. It's all good. And until next time, this is your man DX, and I am out.